So this video is, as much as anything, an accountability video for myself and how I want to mark the start of my next chapter when it comes to YouTube. Because if you were to go and look at my page now, you would see I've got a few videos that where I've picked it up and dropped it, trying to do tutorials and things like that. But there's just such a workload that comes with that interferes with the actual work that I'm doing, because primarily I'm not trying to be a careered YouTuber. Like, what I want to do is put things out there and help connect and be able to find different ways to express creativity. And through that, you know, maybe I do a tutorial, maybe I do a review of something, maybe I do show some tools, or maybe I bring things specific to a niche that I am working within to the forefront and make that the focus of a video. But overall, I want this channel to really be a place that I can showcase my own creativity, where I can throw ideas around, where I can offset some thoughts that I feel like will be useful to other people. I think initially focused mainly in the creative space, but a lot of the things that I think about and a lot of the things that kind of help guide me are things that transcend just the creative life, and there's an element of human to it. And I think as I've got older, as I've had kids, as I've found stability in a career and I'm not just chasing one goal anymore, and that's all moving, I realised that it's actually creativity in general that is a driving force in what keeps me satisfied from day to day. And YouTube's one of those things that I feel like a lot of people consider starting a YouTube and just starting to put yourself out there. And it's weird, like this is weird now. I've got a little light there. I'm in a room that I'm usually sat there working, and instead I'm facing a camera and I'm talking as if I'm talking to people. But in this moment, I'm talking to nobody. And, you know, there's the fears that come with that of this video. You know, I'm a realist. I know this video is going to go up and it might get a few views. And before, that might be something that would bother me, and I don't know, I would be embarrassed about. If someone that I knew were to come across the video and be like, what's he posting online for, to nobody? But I think since I've established myself in my career and I've found validation in what I was always pursuing anyway, and what everyone's always known me for since I was 13 years old. I'm 35 now, and since I was 13 I was in bands and I pursued music non-stop, and it wasn't until deep into that experience that, you know, it really began to work as a career. And I've probably only been able to really say with my chest that this is my full-time career, and that's that, for the last 6 or 7 years. And I say that because a lot of people are probably used to me doing things a little bit different maybe to the people around me, at least in my area. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of talented people, but I'm not from a city where it's renowned for its creative arts, or we haven't got a creative industry here, not on the forefront anyway. There's a lot of people tucked away that are great and creative, but it's very much more labour town, like a manual labour town, and it's hard to connect with like-minded people in a place like this. Although I feel like I've done well to seek out a lot of the people here that are doing that, and I'm grateful for that. But this YouTube space is something I feel like I've just slept on for too long, and it's been so easy to make excuses because it's time consuming, because sitting and editing together a screen record with high quality audio, with a content plan, and keeping up with that, when really what you're actually pursuing is the work of creating the music and placing the music and making the music work. It was always something that was a big blocker in me pursuing the YouTube side of things. Although I always got good engagement, I always got great feedback, a lot of encouragement came from it, but to throw my all at it would have meant that I had to miss out on a lot of the other things that I was doing. And it's become ever more saturated. I think a lot of the standout channels do a lot of more intensive editing, and I just don't have the time for that. If I'm looking to balance my family life, which is valuable to me, my own private time, which is valuable to me, my actual work in the studio and doing the thing that I got into this all for, which was creating music, trying to balance all that with then the slog of coming up with tutorials there aren't a million of already, or pulling together a podcast, for example. I was thinking a podcast because I enjoy this format of talking. I enjoy this format of throwing ideas around and sort of free flow discussion and things. But again, these days you're scrolling through Instagram and TikTok, and that's all the talking head, the big microphone. And I think that it's been watered down too much, where you run the risk of falling into the category of that, oh, there's just another podcast bro. What does he even know? I've never heard of this guy. And then you have to string out for a whole hour and to make the podcast, sit in the category of really a valid podcast. Not to say there aren't podcasts that are shorter, but I don't know. And then I found myself down this rabbit hole where I've been watching on YouTube and seeing actually that now with things like AI coming in and being able to do so much of the sort of bells and whistles, and the more that grows, the more that kind of over-the-top, over-animated, over-edited style will feel tired and lack authenticity and human touch. I feel like I've seen a change where these more vulnerable and these more human type formats are actually really engaging. And for example, this video is something where you don't even need to be watching it. The watch is like an option, or if you stumble across a video and you just happen to be watching videos, then that's when you watch it. But I've been watching things and kind of watching them over there, then going over the other side of the room and doing a chore or whatever, and just kept it rolling. And it's really like a podcast format, but with the purpose of like growing the channel and growing the outlet for exposure and just trying to connect with more people. And it'd be nice to think that the longer I do this, the more of a community can grow and the more collaboration can happen and the more people, that these things will resonate with, because I do feel like there is a lot of people that think you've got to move to the big city and you've got to move to the place where everything's happening to make stuff happen. And I've not done that. And, I'm living comfortably. I've got 2 kids. I've got a 4-bedroom house. I'm in my own studio I've built. That's not a flex. That's not a brag. The point is that it's possible. And I've done all that without having to go and take that huge leap to move away from family and to go. And I've left my comfort zone in a lot of ways through my work and through how I do things. This is stepping out of my comfort zone. I've done a bit of talking to camera before, and it always feels weird, and it's always a bit scary. And there's always this thing in the back of your mind that people are going to judge it in a strange way. But like I say, I'm kind of past all that now, and I think it helps having something that's validated me through my career with music, that there's no pressure. I'm not thinking, I need to build a YouTube channel and get loads of advertising money and all this. Like, it's not really about that. This is purely another way for me to just put creativity out there, because this is why I'm branding this away from just about music production, because I'm starting my own brand, and I want to document that, and I want that to make sense somewhere. I don't want to start a new channel when really it's all just about creativity. And I want to be able to show you projects I'm working on with music, and whether it's stuff for sync, which is valuable because people are waking up now to the idea that music in the sync space, there's money there, rather than always chasing commercial placements with labels and artists. And then I'm building with artists still, and I want to be able to showcase that, and I want to be able to showcase them and the work we're doing there, without having to separate these things into a sync channel, a clothing channel, a artist channel. I just want to be able to bring it all together. And sometimes it might be that I want to experiment with cooking, or I want to experiment with building something, or creating something from scratch. And I want there to be this freedom through one platform where I can just contribute. The things I'm doing anyway, I feel like I want to be able to put out, and there's always someone that might stumble across that is looking to do something similar, or down the rabbit holes. I'm down rabbit holes all the time, whether it's through the clothing, whether it's through, researching the best print types for clothing, the manufacturing process, people stitching their own t-shirts is making me curious, because maybe I do that so I can learn the process, so when I'm communicating with manufacturers down the line, I know the dialogue and I know what I'm talking about, rather than it just be this big rush and an overstimulation from watching a million YouTube videos. So yeah, I guess this video is really an introduction, more so than anything, of what's to come, and also to kind of break the ice and break the seal and break through the fear that sits there when you're thinking of doing this. And you know, I'm guilty of sitting there and overthinking it and wondering what'll happen if it don't work, and I don't want to stop doing it, and I don't want to put this pressure of daily uploads, weekly uploads, because I don't want even there to be a schedule there. I just want this to accumulate as fast as it does, or as little as it does. My intentions are to go at this pretty hard and keep it simple so that I can stick to it. It's the only way I want to stick to it, is if I upload videos like this, where all I have to do is speak to the camera for 10, 15, 20 minutes and offload some thoughts and some ideas, as well as being able to sort of demonstrate certain things that I'm doing, showcase certain things that I'm doing, tell you about experiences I've had that I feel like are relevant and can help and can teach and can explain why I do certain things the way I do them, and how that can be applicable across different things. It's not always going to be music, like I say. Yeah, I want to be able to just connect with people more and inspire people more. Maybe if I'm doing something, I want to show you things that I'm doing from the ground up with the brand. That's really going to be from the ground up, from me putting together things myself, learning certain things for the first time myself. Because really, I'm more interested in connecting with people that are looking to do that as well. I get a lot of value when I see people's videos who are like printing their first shirt or doing the first thing the first time, and kind of getting a real idea of how things actually come together and what the process is really like, and not 5 tips on how to do this without the backing for it. You know, I want to show something real from my experiences. I want to show you the environment that I'm in, and it'll be similar to where you're from. If you're in a city or a town or a village or somewhere that's just not connected to big industry, or maybe the industry that you're interested in, and you feel isolated in the space you're in trying to do what you're trying to do, that's where I was, and that's where I am, and that's where I exist. And often I'm working in here alone for weeks at a time. I'll have collaborators come in, but a lot of the time, you know, it's come in, close the door and get to work and do it on your own. And you've got to kind of fall in love with that. Like, it's a super comfort zone for me, not having to answer to anyone when I'm doing this stuff, and just communicating online and through calls and whatever. But yeah, I just want to connect with the right group of people, and this feels like the best way to do it for me. And I just needed to start this with sort of breaking the seal, like I say, and getting that fear out of the way and getting the uncomfortable feeling of doing this out of the way, so that it's real. And that alone will inspire me to do the next one and the next one and the next one, because I've worked with cameras all my life. It's something I'm also passionate about and enjoy doing, and it's another wasted sort of talent and skill that I've got. I just want to make use of the things at my disposal, and, you know, not put a million blockers in the way by overthinking how and why, and I need to be of a certain level, and it needs to be a certain style, or it don't matter. The only thing I'm bothered about is putting across sort of like an authentic version of what I'm doing. I don't care if the edits aren't perfect. I don't care. I'm not looking for perfection with this. I think the days of perfect edits and graphics coming from left and right and everything needing to be like that it's just gone, and it's tired, and it's overdone, and it's overkilled, and it's stressful and tiring, and it's putting blockers in front of a lot of other creatives from doing it who would be able to put value out there. And it's not even just creatives, it's people who have experiences, it's people who've got stories to tell, and I just want to be a part of that ecosystem because I feel well positioned to do it, and I feel like there's something that I can offer. So with that said, I'm just going to end this video. I don't even want to get into asking follows, likes, subscribes, all of that. Do that shit if you want to do it. It'll be there, you know, and down the line, who knows, maybe there'll be ideas that I bring to the table of why that would be a good idea. But for now, I'm not expecting that. I just want to break the seal and get going. So with that said, I'll see you next time.